They say a woman without friends walks alone. But I say, when you walk with God, you are never alone. The world may leave you, but the Creator never will. My sisters, life will test you. There will be days when your phone doesn't ring, when no one checks on you, when people you trusted slowly drift away. You may feel invisible. You may feel forgotten. But remember this, the emptiness people leave is often the space where God wants to step in. Sometimes, He removes the noise so you can finally hear His voice. You are not defined by who stays or leaves in your life. You are defined by the one who created you. And if you carry faith, self-respect, and inner strength, you will never truly walk alone. In life, my friends, we often spend so much energy trying to make people like us. We adjust our words, we hide our true feelings, we do favors, we give our time, and sometimes we even compromise our values, all because we fear losing the approval of others. But let me tell you something important. Human approval is like the wind. It changes direction every day. The same people who praise you today may criticize you tomorrow. The same friends who stand beside you in your good times may suddenly disappear when you stumble. That is the nature of this world. It is temporary, unpredictable, and often conditional. But God's presence, that is different. God's love does not depend on your status, your beauty, your success, or your social circle. He doesn't need you to perform to earn His care. When you wake up in the morning, He gives you breath. When you fall asleep at night, He gives you rest. When you fail, He gives you another chance. And even when you turn away from Him, His mercy still follows you. Isn't it strange how we run after the opinions of people who may forget us in a few days, but we ignore the one who remembers us every moment of our lives? Let me share a simple example from daily life. Imagine you have a friend who only calls you when they need something. They don't ask how you are, they don't check in, and they never celebrate your successes. But the moment they want help, they expect you to be there. Would you call that true friendship? No. Yet isn't that how many of us treat God? We remember Him only when we are in trouble, only when we are desperate, and then when life becomes comfortable again, we forget Him. And still He stays. Still He listens. Still He waits for you to turn back. When you make God's presence your foundation, people's approval becomes just a bonus, not your fuel for living. You stop feeling insecure when someone doesn't like you. You stop chasing validation from those who don't value you. Because deep down, you know if God is with you, you lack nothing. If the Creator of the universe thinks you are worthy, then no human opinion can make you unworthy. One day, a woman came to me and said, "I feel so alone. My friends have drifted away, my family doesn't understand me, and I feel like nobody cares." I told her, maybe this is not loneliness. Maybe this is God removing the noise from your life so you can hear His voice more clearly. Sometimes He clears the room not to punish you, but to protect you from people who are not meant for your journey. And when He closes one door, it's because He wants to open a better one, a door that leads to peace, not just company. We all love to be liked. It feels good when people notice us, when they include us, when they applaud our efforts. But remember, the same crowd that shouts your name can also turn their back on you. And if your happiness is built on their cheers, then it will collapse when they fall silent. Instead, build your joy on the steady, unchanging love of God, because when everyone else is silent, He still speaks. When everyone else leaves, He still stays. And when everyone else forgets you, He still remembers your name. So, the next time you feel hurt because someone didn't invite you, didn't call you, or didn't appreciate you, pause and ask yourself, am I living for their approval or for God's presence? If it's for them, you will always feel like you are not enough. But if it's for Him, you will always feel full, even when you have no audience. That's the beauty of walking with God. You carry your greatest friend with you everywhere, and no matter who comes or goes, you will never truly walk alone. My sisters, approval from people is a moving target. You hit it today, it shifts tomorrow. But God's love is a constant home. And once you build your life there, no rejection, no betrayal, and no loss can shake your peace. Because your heart will finally know, I am loved, I am seen, and I am enough, not because of who likes me, but because of who made me. Many people fear loneliness as if it's a punishment, but what if I told you it can be one of the greatest gifts God gives you? You see, loneliness is often misunderstood. We think it means we are unwanted, unloved, or forgotten. But sometimes it's God's way of clearing distractions so you can hear what He has been trying to tell you all along. Think about this. In our daily lives, there is so much noise. Messages, notifications, conversations, opinions, obligations. We are constantly surrounded by people's voices, yet so many of us still feel empty inside. Why? Because the most important voice, the voice of God, gets drowned in the chaos. And so, there are moments in life when He lovingly pulls us away from the crowd, not to harm us, but to heal us. That quietness, that space, that solitude, it is not absence, it is presence, His presence. I once spoke to a young woman who said, I hate being alone. When I'm alone, my mind starts overthinking, my heart feels heavy, and I just want to distract myself with anything. Friends, social media, music, anything to avoid the silence. I told her, silence is not your enemy. Silence is the doorway to self-discovery and God discovery. If you keep running from it, you will keep running from yourself. You see, loneliness is not about the absence of people. It's about the absence of connection. And sometimes, God removes the connections that drain you so that He can connect you back to yourself and to Him. Let's take an example from everyday life. Imagine you have been working in a busy office for years, surrounded by colleagues and constant chatter. Then one day, you take a vacation in the mountains. No internet, no phone signal, no crowd. At first, you feel restless. You keep reaching for your phone. You feel disconnected. You wonder what you're missing. But slowly, something happens. You notice the sound of the wind. You see the beauty of the sky. You breathe deeper. You sleep better. And you realize this peace was always available, but you were too surrounded by noise to notice it. That is exactly what God does with loneliness. He takes you away from the crowd so you can remember the beauty of your own soul. Many of us are scared of being alone because we think it means something is wrong with us. But what if it means something is right? Maybe you are being set apart for a season of preparation. Maybe God is building strength in you that can only grow in silence. A tree does not grow its roots in the middle of a storm. It grows them in stillness, deep underground where no one can see. In the same way, your roots of faith, resilience, and self-love grow strongest in the hidden seasons, away from the applause, away from the opinions, away from the spotlight. I remember reading once that the caterpillar transforms into a butterfly in a cocoon, alone. No audience watches that change. No one applauds as it struggles to break free from the shell. But without that private, lonely struggle, there would be no wings. And my friends, some of your most important transformations will happen in the same way, quietly, away from everyone's eyes, just you and God in the stillness. So instead of fighting loneliness, start embracing it. Use it to listen to your own heart. Use it to understand your purpose. Use it to strengthen your connection with the one who made you. Instead of asking, "Why am I alone?" ask, "What am I supposed to learn here?" Because trust me, the lessons you learn in solitude will prepare you for the seasons of abundance that are coming. You may not see it now, but there is a reason for every empty chair around your table. There is a reason some people no longer walk beside you. Sometimes, God needs you to walk a certain path without company, so you can grow strong enough to lead others later. He doesn't remove people from your life to punish you. He removes them to prepare you. And when the time is right, He will bring the right souls into your life, not just to fill your time, but to fill your heart in the way He intends. So the next time you feel that ache of loneliness, remember this: you are not abandoned, you are being called. Called to rise, called to heal, called to grow. And when you answer that call with faith instead of fear, you will discover that you were never truly alone at all. The world may have stepped back, but God has stepped closer. And in His presence, you will find the strength, the peace, and the courage you never knew you had. One of the greatest struggles we face in life is forgetting where our worth truly comes from. We live in a world that constantly measures us by numbers. The number of friends we have, the number of likes on our posts, the number of people who notice our work, the number of compliments we receive. And when those numbers drop, many of us begin to feel like our value has dropped too. But let me tell you something that can change your life. Your worth is not a number. Your worth is not given by people. Your worth was written into you the moment the Creator breathed life into your soul. If you let the crowd decide your value, you will live like a leaf in the wind, blown here and there by every passing opinion. One person says you are amazing, you feel high. Another says you are useless, you feel crushed. Your emotions go up and down like a seesaw because you've given in other people the power to define you. But what if you took that power back? What if you decided that only the one who made you has the right to decide your worth? Imagine the freedom that would bring. You would no longer be desperate for approval. You would no longer crumble at criticism. And you would no longer compare your life to someone else's highlight reel. Let me share an example from daily life. Think of a diamond. If you place a diamond in the hands of a child who doesn't understand its value, they might trade it for a piece of candy. Does that make the diamond worthless? No. The diamond's value doesn't depend on the person holding it. It has its worth because of what it is. In the same way, when someone fails to see your value, it doesn't mean you have none. It simply means they are not the right person to recognize it. And if you forget that, you will spend your whole life trying to prove yourself to people who are not capable of appreciating you. I once spoke to a woman who told me, "I feel invisible. No matter how much I do for others, it's never enough. They always find fault, they always compare me, they never truly see me." I looked at her and said, "That's because you are trying to be enough for people who will never be satisfied. Stop trying to meet their standards. Start living by God's standards. He doesn't measure you by how perfect you are to others. He sees your heart, your effort, your intentions. And in His eyes, you are already enough. We must remember, the Creator made each of us unique. No two fingerprints are alike. No two voices sound the same. No two life paths are identical. So why do we waste our time trying to be like someone else to feel worthy? A rose doesn't compete with a lotus. Both bloom beautifully in their own place. Your beauty, your purpose, your worth are not diminished because someone else shines in a different way. There will always be people who don't like you, misunderstand you, or judge you unfairly. That is part of life. But the more you focus on God's view of you, the less those opinions will matter. You will learn to smile even when you are not applauded. You will keep walking your path even when no one is cheering. You will stop doubting yourself every time someone fails to recognize your effort. Because you will know, I am enough, I am chosen, I am loved, not because the crowd says so, because my Creator says so. Here's another way to think about it. If a masterpiece painting was locked away in a room where no one could see it, would it still be valuable? Absolutely. Its worth doesn't depend on being displayed for approval. It is valuable because of the artist who created it. And you, my friends, are a masterpiece. Whether people notice you or not, your value remains because the greatest artist of all time designed you with care and purpose. So, I ask you today, whose opinion are you living for? The crowd's, which changes with the weather, or God's, which is steady and eternal? When you live for the crowd, you will always be exhausted, chasing the next bit of validation. But when you live for God, you will finally rest in the truth that you are already enough. You will stop needing people to approve of your every move, and you will start walking boldly in your own lane. Never forget this. The world might put labels on you, but those labels are temporary. The label God has placed on you is permanent, beloved, worthy, enough. And the moment you believe that deep in your heart, you will stop begging for a seat at someone else's table. You will realize that God has already prepared a table for you, and the only approval you need to sit there is His. And once you truly embrace that your life will never feel small again, we live in a time where popularity is often mistaken for value. The more followers, the more likes, the more people know your name, the more important you must be, right? But let me tell you something that will challenge this idea. Numbers do not equal depth. You can have hundreds of people around you and still feel lonely. You can have a list of contacts longer than your arm and still have no one to truly call when your heart is breaking. And you can have a social media profile filled with smiling faces and still feel like no one really knows you. Popularity is like a spotlight. It looks bright from a distance, but it fades the moment you step off the stage. Depth, on the other hand, is like the sun, steady, consistent, and warm no matter where you are. Depth is about having relationships that go beyond surface level smiles and polite small talk. It's about having people in your life who see your soul, not just your face. It's about choosing a small circle that truly cares, rather than chasing a large crowd that barely notices when you're gone. Let's take an example from daily life. Imagine you are sick in bed for a week. Out of your hundreds of friends online, how many will actually check on you? How many will show up at your door with soup or medicine? How many will just send a quick "get well soon" because it's polite and then forget about you? That is the difference between popularity and depth. Popularity will send you a message. Depth will bring you comfort. Popularity remembers your birthday. Depth remembers your pain. I remember speaking to a woman who said, "I don't understand, I have so many people around me, yet I feel so empty." I asked her, "When was the last time you had a real, Honest conversation where you didn't have to hide your true feelings. She paused and then she said, I can't remember. That's the problem. We can be surrounded by people and still starve for connection. And in that emptiness, we sometimes try to fill the gap by adding more people. Thinking quantity will fix what only quality can heal. Choosing depth over popularity requires courage. It means being willing to walk away from shallow relationships that drain you, even if it means having fewer people in your life. It means valuing the one friend who truly listens over the 50 who only talk. It means knowing that your worth is not determined by how many people recognize your name, but by how many people truly know your heart. Think of it like this: a tree with shallow roots might grow quickly, but the first storm can knock it down. A tree with deep roots might take longer to grow, but it stands strong through every season. Shallow connections are like shallow roots. They look fine until life tests them. Deep connections are like deep roots. They keep you grounded no matter what comes your way. Even in faith, depth matters more than display. Some people talk about God often, but do not truly live by His values. Others may not speak much, but their quiet acts of kindness and loyalty reflect Him more than any speech ever could. In the same way, choose people whose actions align with care and sincerity, not just those who look good in your life's pictures. You might be thinking, but won't choosing depth over popularity make me feel lonely? In the beginning, maybe, because when you stop chasing approval and start seeking authenticity, your circle will shrink. Some people will drift away because they were only there for the surface benefits. Your status, your energy, your presence in their crowd. But those who remain, those are the ones worth keeping. And here's the truth. You don't need 100 people to walk with you in life. You only need a few who will walk through anything with you. So stop measuring your value by the size of your audience and start measuring it by the strength of your connections. Stop worrying about being everywhere and start being deeply somewhere. Stop collecting acquaintances and start building relationships that feed your soul. Because in the end, when the noise of the crowd fades, the depth of your connections will be the thing that keeps your heart warm. One day, you will realize that the most important moments in your life were not the ones shared with the most people, but the ones shared with the right people. It won't matter how many people liked your picture. What will matter is who sat beside you when you felt like you had nothing left to give. It won't matter how many clapped for your success. What will matter is who stayed when you failed. And when you choose depth over popularity, you will know the joy of having relationships that don't just look good. They feel good, they heal, they last. So my friends, choose depth, because popularity fades, but depth will carry you through every season of life with strength, peace, and love that no crowd can ever replace. Solitude is often seen as an emptiness, a gap we are desperate to fill. Many people treat it like a problem to solve instead of a gift to embrace. But solitude, when used wisely, can become one of the greatest tools for strengthening your faith and building your inner life. It is in those quiet moments, away from the demands of the world, that you can finally hear your own soul. And more importantly, you can hear the voice of the one who created it. Think about it. The busiest places in the world are often the loudest. Markets, offices, social events, city streets, they are full of noise, distraction, and constant motion. It's easy to get swept away in that current, moving from one task to another without ever pausing to ask yourself, am I even going in the right direction? Solitude is that pause. It's the stillness that allows you to step out of the current and see where the water is carrying you. Without it, you may spend years going fast, but in the wrong direction. Let me share an example from daily life. Imagine you are driving your car with the music turned up so loud that you can't hear anything else. Suddenly, a strange noise starts coming from the engine. You won't notice it until you turn the music down and listen carefully. In the same way, life's noise often hides the signals God is sending you: warnings, guidance, encouragement. Solitude turns the volume down so you can hear what really matters. Many people fear being alone because they confuse solitude with loneliness. Loneliness is a feeling of emptiness. Solitude is a choice for fullness. Loneliness drains you, solitude can fill you. If you use it to connect with your faith, when you choose to spend time alone in reflection, prayer, or simply sitting in gratitude, you create a space where God can meet you without competition for your attention. And in that sacred space, you start to understand things that were hidden in the rush of life. I once met a woman who told me she hated Sundays because they were the quietest day of her week. She felt restless without constant activity. I suggested that instead of running from that quiet, she should sit with it. She began spending a few minutes each Sunday in stillness, no phone, no TV, no distractions. At first, she found it uncomfortable. But over time, she said, I started hearing my own thoughts more clearly. I began realizing what I truly wanted in life. And in that stillness, I began to feel God's nearness in a way I never had before. This is the power of solitude. It strips away the noise so you can return to what is essential: your relationship with the Creator. It allows you to be honest with yourself about your strengths, your weaknesses, your fears, and your dreams. It gives you the space to realign your heart with your values and your steps with your purpose. Even nature shows us the value of solitude. Rivers carve deep valleys over centuries, not in the chaos of storms, but in the steady, quiet flow of water. Mountains grow slowly in silence, far from the noise of human life. Seeds transform into trees in the still darkness of the soil. And in the same way, your soul grows strongest not in the spotlight of constant attention, but in the unseen moments you spend alone with God. When you use solitude to strengthen your faith, you stop fearing it. Instead of thinking, no one is here for me, you begin to think, God is here with me. Instead of asking, why am I alone? You start asking, what is He trying to show me right now? And slowly, your time alone becomes something you look forward to, not as an escape from people, but as a return to your spiritual center. So the next time life gives you solitude, don't rush to fill it with noise or distractions. Use it to pray, to reflect, to write your thoughts, to read something that nourishes your spirit. Use it to ask yourself, am I walking in the direction I truly want to go? Am I living in a way that honors my faith? And in that quiet conversation between you and God, you will find a kind of strength that no crowd could ever give you. Because here is the truth: the person who learns to be strong in solitude will never be weak in the crowd. The one who finds comfort in God's presence when no one else is around will never be truly alone. Solitude is not the absence of company, it is the presence of clarity, faith, and peace. And once you discover its power, you will carry that strength with you into every season of your life